everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kicks Over Coffee. Today I'm joined by Shane Griffin, who is Director of Product for Digital Design at Foundry. Many of you guys may know them from their product Modo, which is one of the cutting edge tools designers are using to design footwear in 3D. And since this is our solution focused series right now, as everybody's working remotely, and the coronavirus continues to take its toll on basically businesses, retailers, the ability for anybody to get out of their house and travel except going to the grocery store, which is getting, it's getting very boring, I think, for everybody. But Shane, we were just talking previously, you're in Chicago. How are things in Chicago? It seems like they've really kind of locked things down.
Yeah, it's really kind of it's nice because I think the city has started to take this pretty seriously. Where if you travel to more of the Midwest in general, it's not so much. You don't have to go too far from here, and there isn't statewide stay-at-home orders and things like that. But it seems like in the urban areas, at least, people are taking it pretty seriously. There's not a lot of group gathering and in parks and things like that. So hopefully that sets things right and helps us kind of weather through this a little bit better.
Yeah. Let's jump right into it. I mean, we've been talking for years about the need for digital tools, and it was mainly around speed to market, reducing costs, decreasing efficiencies, and now it's about remote work, right? Like helping synchronize workflows and preventing errors, and allowing employees to have tools at their disposal to keep doing work. So how do what's the current environment like from the brands that you work with right now? What are you hearing from them? What are you hearing from other people who are now realizing they need this because we don't know how long we're in this situation?
Yeah, I think as you've seen, I mean, you've traveled quite a few of the shows in different areas with me over the past year or so. It's an emerging trend, right? For a lot of various different reasons, like you said, between the eco impact of things to the cost factor of things, just general sample reduction and things like that. But these days, a lot of the brands are coming to us and saying, man, I wish I would have got started earlier because it would be really, really helpful right now in that kind of collaboration between, wherever your design center is in the world. It could be anywhere across Europe or North America in general, and communicating to the factories that are often over in the Asia Pacific area and things like that. So a lot of the brands are definitely, seeing the need to do this, and they wish they would have gotten started just a little bit earlier, quite a few of them. And the ones that have had a pretty good jump into it are, it's really interesting because they're not slowing down a whole lot from what I've seen. They're certainly cautious in how they're expanding their current spend on things, but for the most part, their design productivity seems to be continuing forward at relatively normal pace, I would say.
Yeah, that's good. That's it proves out the point of why this was so important. But for brands out there who haven't jumped into the digital stream and haven't even tested out or even looked or demoed Modo or other kind of 3D design tools out there, what are you telling them? How long does it take to kind of, because part of it too is figuring out that workflow, right? It's not just understanding the software, it's how it fits into your culture, your corporate culture. Even now, our cultures are kind of disjointed because everybody's somewhere else. What are you telling people in terms of like how long it would take to kind of get into it and like see some efficiencies created?
In general, I mean, it isn't something you're going to jump into over a coffee, over lunch, or anything like that. One of the tools that we have is Colorway, which is very easy to jump into, but Colorway requires either you to start with, you can start with your 2D CAD, so your Illustrator files in many cases, and you can do color up and material up on the 2D CAD. So that part of the process is very, easy to slip in, and allows you to automate a lot of that tech pack creation and reduce the human errors communicating over to the factory. What I've seen more and more as of lately is it parlays into not just that tech pack going over to the factory, but then the factory sending back a digital sample before they send back a physical sample. So, work with your factory partners is what I would say, because a lot of them are becoming more and more sophisticated with this workflow. It can send you back that 3D file now that further enable your color and material designers to do the color up in full 3D. So the skill level varies. If you want to do the full 3D aspects of things, it is, it's going to take you a lot more time. And we often recommend that you work with us, directly. We can help bring in people that are specialists in that area on our side, or help you find people in the market to plant those seeds and bring that skill set in-house. But on the colorway side, literally that is something that within a day or two, you could be really pretty proactive with. So it depends on where you want to start.
Right.
And we find that, brands have either problems on one side or the other, whether it's new design creation or refresh. And refresh is probably where you're going to see the most, eco savings and just general ROI on the process. But if you start from the very beginning and you move it all the way through to the end, then you'll continue to see those benefits, in the refresh side, and then further down the line into marketing and B2C side of things, even on the website and stuff.
I think it's a good point, because you're, in this time of need where people are trying to figure out how to create efficiencies really quickly, is to utilize your partners, utilize your factories. Every single time I've gone over there, I've seen more computers in factories where you wouldn't see it in the past, and especially kind of the sample facilities. There's like a whole floor of computers where they're scanning 3D lasts, where they're doing the design, the 3D designs on the computers for folks. So, more and more there are skilled people who can do that, to your point, but you still got to send the tech back over at the start. So the colorway thing is interesting. Maybe you could dive in a little bit more. If you're a designer, I'm sure some of them have seen that or tested that. But if we're talking to executives today who are trying to figure out what it means for their teams to inform them and get them more involved, what's a colorway? Is it a software package online? Is it, just describe it a little bit more in detail for us.
Sure. Is this something you think I could screen share on real quick?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sorry to go kind of impromptu on you here, but
That's all right. I like
let me share my desktop. I had a feeling this was going to come up, so good. I queued up a video here. I'll let this play as I talk, but this will give you a pretty good visual, at least, of what we're talking about here. And it is a little bit of a paint by numbers type of a thing. So this is a rendering. This is not a 3D model. It is a really smart rendering that allows you to do a lot of drag and drop of colors, copy pasting and changing of materials, all that stuff. So if I'm that color material artist, I have a very easy interface to make these very complex changes. And then you'll see a little bit of the call outs that it's able to do kind of automatically, the data tables that can be piped into either the PLM systems or just into the tech pack creation that's often a PDF file and so on. But on the left here, you can see that you can store many different color variations. Up here on the right, if this pans around, you'll see kind of a canvas with all those variations laid out. So it gives you a ton of different capabilities, from virtual line review to tech pack creation to just pure on color and material exploring with just a singular asset at one point in time.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
So it's set up and intentionally, meant to be very friendly to that Adobe artist. So it's a single, canvas with multiple pages on there, but it works in kind of this 2.5D compositing way. So a lot of Foundry's history is built upon building, visual effects for Hollywood.
Right.
And some of the biggest feature films out there, literally every Academy Award-winning film over the last 20 years has been edited on our high-end compositing system. So, making the digital real or seem real is our kind of our DNA. And we built this tool to kind of simplify down what it takes to do all that stuff. So once those images are there, you're able to create very photorealistic, believable colorways that can then be, often passed off directly to the marketing team and even sold before they're manufactured as a sample. So you can go that far with it. And like I said, you can also work with colorway in just your traditional 2D line art way as well. So it's very flexible from that standpoint.
Yeah, I like the idea that it plugs into the Adobe stuff and you can go back and forth because so many people use Adobe. I mean, even if they're doing like Photoshop stuff or
Yeah, I mean that's been in this space for decades now,
right.
right? I mean it progressed from doing the tape ups on the last and things like that, which are still kind of done. I see that every now and then as well, to just straight up Adobe Illustrator line art work, and it requires it's a very tedious process for the designer to build those tech packs, and it requires a high attention to detail to get all the part numberings correct, all the material colors correct on every single one of those variations, across that particular line. So we're finding that the designers really like this because it more or less automates that process for them and gets rid of a very non-artistic part of their job, and makes it very seamless for them to adapt into it.
Awesome. So if people want to have demos, what's the best way to get a hold of you? LinkedIn or shoot you an email or what?
Yeah, so my email is just shane.griffith@foundry.com. Foundry.com is our website. With inside of there, we're actually just releasing a new version of Colorway this week. So we'll have a new Colorway webpage where you can get more information on that. You'll notice Moto and the entire website is a bit of a hybrid between entertainment stuff versus design aspects of things, especially on the Moto side. It's a very diversified business, but on the Moto colorway side of things, it's a high area of focus for us. It's a big area where we're pivoting towards growth opportunity and everything else this year. So you'll start to see more and more of that become visible on, I think, on the website side of things.
Yeah. And I think it is important to say, to contact Shane and talk to him about what your workflow is and what you want to accomplish. But it sounds like they have really quick tools they can plug in now. But I just keep saying this for the past 3 years, Shane, we always do, but you got to start at some point, and why not start now, really starting to outline it. And to that end, we were going to have a 3D digital summit in Portland in May that we had to cancel, which we are now digitizing the digital 3D summit. But what's so important about that is we're going to have Shane and other leaders come in and talk about workflow challenges. So it's not just how you work with the software, but it's how you get the most out of the software and where you plug it in and like where are the opportunities to try to help people. That's really been one of the biggest challenges that we've seen is the tools are available, but people don't really know how to plug them into their workflow and actually change their workflows to get the efficiencies that these things are really meant for. So that we're launching that very soon. Very excited about that, and getting at this point the benefit of going digital is we get a lot more voices from around the world, especially in Europe, who are doing some interesting things to kind of share ideas back and forth. Shane, before we go, this is Kicks Over Coffee. I have my coffee mug here. I love coffee. That's why I started the channel, Kicks Over Coffee.
Nice.
What about you? Are you an espresso drinker? Are you a drip drinker? Do you have a particular brand that you like? Please don't tell me that it's Folgers.
It's not Folgers, but I got a really kind of poor Keurig K-cup Costco special here today. I'm a little deprived of quality coffee without my coffee shop. As you know, I mean, I am home office based most of the time, so this whole thing isn't a whole lot different for me, other than I'm not traveling, these days. So my job, I'm out there on the road, 70-80% of the time, and yeah, I'm an espresso guy. I got to start my morning with that, double, triple shot espresso, Americano of some sort, and get me going right away.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, Shane, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us today. Folks, I do encourage you to contact Shane, talk to him about their tools and resources, how you can plug them in. I mean, that's the benefit of working with experts is they're working with multiple brands right now, and they can quickly help you understand, based on what your needs are, how to best use the tools and create those efficiencies, especially as this remote work, I think, will continue on further than we anticipated earlier, unfortunately. So you got to start somewhere in your process and your journey, your digital journey. And Shane's a great person to talk to as you start off on that journey. So Shane, thanks so much for joining us today. And I hope you're continue to be safe and Chicago safe and the Midwest. Hopefully everybody else catches up and starts to lock it down a little bit.
Thanks so much for having me today, Andy. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yep. Folks, until next time, this is Kicks Over Coffee. You can find our YouTube channel. Just Google kicksovercoffee.com or find us on YouTube and just type in Kicks Over Coffee. But until next time, this is Andy signing off. Keep wearing kicks. Keep drinking coffee.